Why don't you take a look at a question on your AIR test this spring that deals with fractions? Some of the work in the classroom, whether it be greater than, less than, or equal to fractions, is still being tested, but it's done so in a way that's fairly complicated for a fourth grader. But have no fear, really, it's slow and steady. Work yourself through your thought process to answer a question like this. I'm going to read the question to you. It says, Kendrick says that the only way to create a fraction greater than 3/7 is to make the denominator less than 7. Your task that you have to do is in box A, drag one number into each box to create a fraction that supports Kendrick. In box B, you have to drag one number into that box to create a fraction that disproves Kendrick or shows that Kendrick is incorrect. One of the first things that you want to do to get a grip on how to answer this question is to realize that your question is two parts. In one part here, as the box is labeled, you have to put a fraction that supports A, and over here you have to put one that supports B. When you look at this fraction that they've given you, 3/7, it isn't something that you can easily draw out on your paper as far as shading it in like a pizza puzzle, and it's hard to do it well. So the best thing to probably do is to think, is this greater than or less than 1/2? 3/7 is slightly less than 1/2. 1/2 of 7 is 3.5. And so if you're thinking about what kind of fraction are you working with visually, it's going to be something that is slightly less than 1/2, but close. You have to do two things. For this first part, part A, you have to make sure that your denominator is less than 7. So for the first part, you want to make sure that whatever you're picking, the bottom number, your denominator that's going over here, is going to be less than 7. For the second part, since you have to prove that Kendrick is incorrect, you have to make the denominator more than 7 to prove him wrong. All right, so for part A, when we're looking at this, since we talked about the relationship with 1/2, as you're looking through the choices for denominators, one that might be an easier choice to show what's greater than 3/7 would be 1/2. And that's kind of a nice, easy visual reference as well. So in this case, you're supporting Kendrick because the fraction you picked, 1/2, is greater than 3/7. As you should already know, if you have a fraction that's 8/8 or 9/9, it does make one whole number. Choose one of those bottom numbers, 8 or 9, as your denominator. When you think about your pizza slices or how to get a fraction that's larger than 3/7, which of course is going to be larger than 1/2, pick most of the pieces of the fraction, like 7 out of 8, 6 out of 8, something that would show that you've kind of encapsulated most of that number as well. Now, the problem with this is, of course, there are many different answers, and we'll see what kind of answers that you're going to get for your exit cards. Good luck.